Middletown, Ohio, a close community where generations of families grow up together, where children pedal bicycles along shady maple-lined avenues after school, and where the sound of playful shouts carries from the city park swing sets. At the heart of this vibrant town was an extraordinary little boy whose kindness touched everyone around him. Bright-eyed, 6-year-old James Hutchinson. Born on a sunny June morning in 2014, James Robert Hutchinson was the type of child who transformed ordinary days into adventures. His first-grade teacher, Mrs. Wilkins, recalled how he'd race into Rosa Parks Elementary each morning, his backpack bouncing as he delivered handmade cards saying, "You're my hero," to the staff. He worshipped comic book champions, looked up to his older siblings with admiration, and had a gift for turning frowns into smiles with his silly jokes. To everyone who knew him, James wasn't simply a young boy. He was a radiant presence who made the world feel warmer. But in late February 2021, Middletown's sense of security was shattered. What initially appeared as a parent's concerning report about a child's disappearance soon revealed a heartbreaking situation that shook the community to its core. This is the unforgettable account of James Hutchinson, a remarkable young life that should have had decades more joy ahead. On the morning of February 28, 2021, Britney Gosney and her boyfriend James Hamilton arrived at the Middletown Police Department to report their 6-year-old son, James, missing. They claimed he had disappeared the night before, wearing a red shirt and Batman pajama pants, and though they had searched for hours, they couldn't locate him. Officers found their behavior unusual. Most parents would immediately call 911 upon realizing their child was missing. Yet Britney and Hamilton had waited until the next morning to visit the station in person, bringing their 2 other children along. Their calm demeanor and inconsistent accounts raised suspicions. When questioned separately, Britney eventually began to reveal what truly happened to her son, though the full story would prove far darker than a simple disappearance. Before we continue, I want to clarify something to avoid confusion. Both Britney's young son and her boyfriend share the name James. So from this point forward, I'll refer to her boyfriend solely as Hamilton to keep the story clear. To understand what happened to little James Hutchinson, you first have to understand the woman at the center of it all. Britney Gosney. Born in Cincinnati during the winter of 1992, Britney's childhood was fractured from the beginning. Her upbringing under her father's roof, rather than providing security, became the source of profound personal struggles that would shape her future. But before we begin, I just want to say thank you to my amazing viewers and subscribers. Your support through likes, shares, and comments means the world to me. Your engagement helps make these stories even more meaningful. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join our growing community of true crime enthusiasts. At 12 years old, Britney was removed from her home after authorities uncovered severe mistreatment. The intervention that should have brought relief instead began a 6-year odyssey through Ohio's foster care network. While designed as a protective measure, this system offered Britney little consistency as she moved between temporary homes, never finding the stability she desperately needed. During these difficult years, Britney faced additional challenges no child should endure. The trauma of her early life led to a pregnancy at age 12, resulting in the loss of her first child to adoption. This painful separation created yet another emotional wound during her already turbulent adolescence. When Britney turned 18, she left state custody, legally independent but emotionally unprepared for adulthood. In 2014, Britney Gosney entered into marriage with Louis Hutchinson, a relationship that would produce 3 children, including their son James, born that same year. Their union proved unstable from the beginning, a pattern of separations and reconciliations that suggested neither partner was fully committed, yet neither could completely walk away. While their bond may have been fragile, they maintained the appearance of a family unit, if only for their children's sake. By 2019, the strained marriage reached its breaking point. Britney and her children moved into the home of Louis's sister, Priscilla Farley, seeking temporary stability during this turbulent period. However, this living arrangement would ultimately create more complications than it solved. During this time, Britney became involved with Priscilla's estranged husband, James Hamilton, a relationship that would have devastating consequences for both families. This affair didn't simply damage existing relationships, It completely severed them. The revelation destroyed Britney's marriage to Lewis and permanently fractured Hamilton's relationship with Priscilla. When the dust settled, Britney and Hamilton emerged as a couple, their relationship born not from healthy foundations, but from the wreckage of two broken families. As Britney Ghosney's relationship with James Hamilton developed, their situation reflected ongoing challenges in their lives. Both faced difficulties maintaining consistent employment, navigating their daily lives in Middletown without regular work. While Britney dealt with personal hardships, Hamilton's background included a concerning history of legal issues that showed repeated problematic conduct. Hamilton's first significant legal matter occurred in 1999 with a property-related conviction, indicating disregard for legal standards. Several years later, in 2005, he faced more serious legal consequences related to firearm possession. These significant legal events were accompanied by various other infractions that, when viewed collectively, painted a picture of ongoing difficulties with lawful behavior. His history included substance-related offenses, public order issues, family-related incidents, and charges related to interfering with official proceedings. Particularly concerning were past claims made against Hamilton that included serious but unproven allegations regarding a family member. These matters were never substantiated in court, but their existence created questions about his past conduct and relationships. These unresolved issues would become relevant factors in his involvement with Britney and her family.
Let's step back now to that critical moment when Britney and Hamilton walked into the police station to report James missing. Because what happened next inside those interrogation rooms would begin to unravel the truth, a truth far darker than anyone could have imagined. That Sunday morning at the Middletown Police Department, officers immediately noticed something unusual about Britney Ghosney and James Hamilton's missing person report. The couple appeared surprisingly composed as they explained that 6-year-old James Hutchinson had disappeared the previous evening while wearing red pajamas with a Batman design. They described searching for hours before coming to the station, but investigators found several aspects troubling. Most parents would immediately contact emergency services, yet they had delayed reporting and arrived in person, leaving their other children unattended at home. These inconsistencies raised immediate red flags. Police quickly separated the pair for individual questioning. Hamilton presented a detailed but questionable account. He claimed to have woken around 3:45 a.m., searched unsuccessfully, taken medication, then resumed looking for James at 8:30 a.m. His matter-of-fact delivery and irregular timeline failed to convey appropriate urgency for a missing child case. In a separate interview room, Britney initially appeared cooperative as she recounted putting the children to bed at 9 p.m. and checking on them later. She stated Hamilton informed her of James' disappearance at 8 a.m. the next morning, claiming he had attempted to wake her earlier. However, as detectives gently pressed for clarification, Britney's story began developing inconsistencies. Her confident demeanor gradually gave way to visible discomfort, with pauses and shifting details, suggesting her initial account wasn't entirely truthful. Detectives specifically challenged Britney's claim that she had sought help from Child Protective Services prior to the incident. When pressed for details, dates, caseworkers' names, or documentation, her account fell apart. County records showed no history of contact, contradicting her assertion that she'd tried to legally relinquish custody. This inconsistency deepened investigators' suspicions about her overall narrative, particularly when James' father confirmed he'd have willingly assumed custody. "She never asked," Lewis later stated. "There were always other options." The officers' trained instincts told them this wasn't a straightforward missing child case. Between the couple's unusual behavior, conflicting statements, and lack of immediate action, investigators suspected they might be dealing with a more serious situation than a simple disappearance. The truth, they believed, lay somewhere beneath the surface of these contradictory stories.
After extensive questioning, Britney Ghosney, a woman who appeared withdrawn and emotionally drained, ultimately provided a full account of what happened. In the police interview room, she spoke quietly as she shared information that would stay with investigators. She admitted to being responsible for the series of actions that resulted in the tragic loss of her 6-year-old son, James Hutchinson. The events began during the late hours of Friday, February 26, 2021. At the time, Britney Ghosny was emotionally distressed and, according to investigators, potentially affected by her partner's influence. After midnight, while most families were asleep, Britney quietly woke her 3 children. Without explanation, she directed them into a 2005 Dodge Caravan owned by James Hamilton and drove through rural Ohio under the cover of darkness. For over an hour, she drove without clear direction, her judgment affected by questionable reasoning. Her destination was the Rush Run Wildlife Area, a secluded natural area located 54 miles from home. During daylight hours, visitors often came here for recreational activities. However, at night, the area became quiet and inaccessible, with no nearby infrastructure or residences. Britney stated she selected this location because she knew it well, though investigators believed its isolation may have been a deliberate factor in her choice. According to her statement, Britney's intention was to either leave her children at the location or use the situation as an extreme disciplinary measure. When they arrived at the unlit parking area, she instructed the children to exit the vehicle. While 2 complied immediately, 6-year-old James remained in the back seat, appearing to be asleep. Observing this, Britney physically assisted him out of the car onto the cold ground. James looked toward his mother and quietly expressed his discomfort, saying, "Mom, we don't want to be here." His tone conveyed distress and uncertainty. Britney showed no visible reaction as she proceeded to enter the vehicle, securing the doors and turning on the audio system at a volume that prevented outside sounds from being heard inside the car. James reacted immediately, moving quickly toward the vehicle and grasping the door handle while showing visible distress. As the van accelerated, events progressed rapidly. Investigators later confirmed there was physical contact between James and the moving vehicle, which Britney acknowledged hearing. The other children present were heard vocalizing their alarm during this incident. Despite these circumstances, she didn't stop. Not once did she hit the brakes. After approximately 30 to 40 minutes, Britney returned to the location. According to her statement to investigators, she found James at the scene showing no signs of responsiveness. Based on forensic analysis of the vehicle and her account, authorities concluded the incident had caused fatal consequences. The Rush Run Wildlife Area, normally a recreational spot for families, became the setting for these devastating events. Britney recounted the subsequent events to investigators in a composed manner. She instructed her 2 other children, who remained quiet, to re-enter the vehicle. She then placed James inside, later telling authorities she had done so carefully. Experienced investigators noted that such detailed descriptions of careful handling often accompany accounts where actions may not align with the description. Upon returning home, Britney moved James to an upstairs room before putting her other children to bed for the evening. The events continued the next evening. After nightfall, when the household was quiet and the children were asleep, Britney and James Hamilton took additional actions related to the incident. They transported James in the vehicle across the state lines to Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Stopping near a bridge along Interstate 275, they proceeded with their plans under cover of darkness. The couple then secured James with a weighted object before placing him in the Ohio River near the bridge. Their actions were deliberate and left no visible evidence at the scene. The location was near an active roadway where normal traffic continued unaffected. During police interviews, James Hamilton initially claimed he wasn't present when the incident occurred. However, upon further questioning, his account changed. He acknowledged that he and Britney had previously visited Rush Run Wildlife Area with the children for disciplinary purposes. Investigators determined this established a concerning behavioral pattern. Britney stated she contacted Hamilton afterward, reporting that James had fallen during the incident with fatal results. Hamilton then participated in subsequent actions that led authorities to consider both individuals responsible. As Britney's confession unfolded, investigators shifted their focus from a missing persons case to a recovery mission, one that would reveal even darker truths. Authorities immediately launched recovery efforts to locate James Hutchinson, though the operation faced significant challenges. Despite assistance from professional search teams, elevated water levels in the river, caused by recent snowmelt, created hazardous conditions that temporarily halted the search. Officials confirmed plans to resume when conditions improved. With the evidence mounting, the legal system began its pursuit of justice, first for Britney, then for Hamilton. Following her statements to investigators, Britney 𝐂𝐨𝐬𝐿 was taken into custody. Initial charges included improper handling of human remains and evidence tampering, with bail set at $1 million. Prosecutors later added multiple felony counts related to child welfare violations involving all three children. James Hamilton faced similar initial charges, with bail established at $100,000, followed by additional child endangerment allegations. During further questioning, Britney revealed that Hamilton had repeatedly pressured her regarding the children's presence in their home. She described his persistent demands to remove them from the household, though she claimed he provided no specific instructions about methods. Britney explained she had explored alternative living arrangements with family members before the incident occurred, but found no viable options. Investigators also learned about concerning disciplinary measures used the day before the incident, where all three children had been subjected to inappropriate restraint and isolation. These disclosures provided critical context for understanding the events that followed. Britney 𝐂𝐨𝐬𝐿 initially asserted she had contacted child welfare services multiple times regarding difficulties caring for her children, including attempts to relinquish custody. However, investigators determined these claims were unfounded, as no records of such contact existed. The biological father, James Hutchinson, stated he had been willing to assume custody and couldn't comprehend the decisions made. Authorities executed several search warrants on the residence, vehicles, and electronic devices belonging to the couple. While the specifics remained under seal initially, investigators noted Britney displayed limited remorse during questioning. She initially entered a plea of not guilty by reason of mental incapacity, but this was later withdrawn after psychological evaluation and discovery of deliberate evidence concealment.
A critical breakthrough occurred when law enforcement recovered one of the hidden storage devices. Examination of the footage revealed significant timeline details. Britney, departing with all three children late Friday evening, returning early Saturday morning while carrying James, and leaving again Sunday morning with Hamilton, who was seen placing an unresponsive James into their vehicle before driving away. Prior to the scheduled trial date in August 2021, Britney 𝐂𝐨𝐬𝐿 entered a guilty plea for the primary charge, along with two related offenses involving minors. The remaining charges against her were dropped as part of this resolution. The court imposed the most severe penalty available under the law, a life sentence, with eligibility for parole consideration after serving a minimum of 21 years. James Hamilton's legal team pursued a strategy to minimize his sentencing and avoid violent offender registration requirements. The defense maintained their client played a secondary role, arguing no concrete proof existed showing his direct involvement in restraining the children. While acknowledging Hamilton purchased the rope days before the incident and demonstrated restraint techniques, attorneys emphasized no evidence placed him as the primary instigator of physical actions against the children. Multiple character references were submitted to the court, including statements from Hamilton's sister and his legally recognized spouse, Priscilla. These letters portrayed Hamilton in positive terms, describing him as compassionate and responsible in other aspects of his life. Priscilla's testimony specifically highlighted his care for her child from infancy onward. However, these character accounts contrasted with Hamilton's own admissions to authorities. During official questioning, he confessed to participating in restraining the children and disclosed past physical discipline incidents. He explained the February 26th events as Britney's initiative to modify the children's behavior, with his assistance in implementing the restraints before confining them. Ultimately, Hamilton accepted responsibility through a guilty plea. The court imposed a 19-year prison term and mandated violent offender registration upon his eventual release. Later, James' father, James Hutchinson, stated he had actively sought custody of his son and would have accepted full responsibility if given the opportunity. He expressed confusion about Britney's actions, noting she could have simply transferred custody to him or his relatives rather than taking extreme measures. This raises important questions about why alternative arrangements weren't pursued when multiple options apparently existed, Available information suggests Britney may have explored some alternatives for her children's care prior to the incident. In a recorded interview with legal media, she reportedly discussed attempting to make other living arrangements, though the details and sincerity of these efforts remain unclear given the eventual outcome. While the courts delivered their verdicts, the people of Middletown sought their own form of justice, ensuring James would never be forgotten.
Following the news of James's passing, the community quickly came together to honor his memory. Outside his former home, neighbors and strangers alike left tokens of sympathy: colorful balloons, framed photographs, plush toys, and glowing candles. These small but meaningful gestures transformed the space into one of collective mourning and reflection. On March 2, 2021, approximately 200 community members attended an evening gathering at Barnett Stadium. Organized by local schools, the event featured speakers who shared positive memories of James as a student. His former teacher recalled his daily greetings and enthusiasm for school. To support James's siblings, the school district partnered with a local bank to establish an assistance fund. Another community initiative focused on recovery efforts. A commemorative bench was later installed at Rosa Parks Elementary School, where James had been enrolled. This permanent memorial provides a place for reflection on his life and the community's shared commitment to child welfare. In the wake of this tragedy, Middletown revealed its heart. The candles flickering at Barnett Stadium, the memorial bench where children now pause to tie their shoes. These aren't just gestures of grief. They're proof that a community can transform anguish into action, ensuring no child feels invisible. Yet beneath the collective mourning lies a quiet, persistent question. How many warning signs were missed? Britney's claims about seeking help that never materialized. Hamilton's troubling past. These threads, if pulled earlier, might have led to a different ending. It's a reminder that protecting children isn't just about reacting to tragedy, but recognizing the fractures before they break. If James's story stays with you, consider this. Ohio's foster care system, like many nationwide, struggles with underfunding and overcrowding. Whether it's volunteering with local youth programs, supporting kinship care initiatives, or simply learning the signs of childhood distress, small acts of awareness can be the net that catches a falling family. James Hutchinson should have turned 10 this year. He should be trading Pokemon cards, complaining about homework, and racing his friends to the swings. While we can't rewrite history, we can honor him by refusing to look away from the next child who needs to be seen. Thank you for remembering James with me today. Stay observant, stay compassionate, and as always, take care of one another.